and welcome to the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. My name is Ali and I am coming to you from Kent in the UK, where I live with my husband and my two little girls. I just wanted to start a bit quietly with this podcast today. So before I go into the main normal podcast, it's going to be a completely normal podcast, but I just wanted to mention the events that have happened this week in the UK. I'm sure you will have all heard that we had a suicide bomb attack on a stadium in Manchester, which seemed to be targeting children and young teenage girls, which was absolutely devastating for us here. So I'm not going to go into a lengthy thing about it, but I just wanted to say that we're obviously all thinking of all the families involved, and our hearts and our love go out to Manchester and all of the victims. Okay, so let's get on to the podcast proper now. As I said, my name is Ali. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram, where I am Starry Eyes Ali. I've already said that I'm in Kent, which is in the UK, just south of London, where I live with my husband and our two little girls, who are 6 and 11. The show notes for this episode and all my episodes can be found directly underneath the video, and I also put timestamps down there as well. So if you want to jump to any particular section, say you want to get straight into works in progress or finished objects or sharing a love or incoming goodies, then you can just check out the timestamp below and jump to that. I've also got a Ravelry group where there is a giveaway going on. The Celebrate Everything giveaway was to celebrate my reaching 500 subscribers here on YouTube, 1,000 subscribers on Instagram, and also turning 40. So yeah, celebrating everything. And the prompt over there, if you go and find the thread in the group, which is the Little Drops of Wonderful group on Ravelry, is what was the last thing you celebrated? I'm just going to adjust my camera very slightly because it's about to fall off the apparatus. I've got a slightly different setup today. I have I've turned my camera around, so I'm using the better camera, I hope, and I've got a mirror set up behind it. So if I keep sort of looking like that, it's because I'm looking at the mirror behind to check that I'm in shot, or whatever I'm showing you is in shot. I don't know if it's going to work, but I had some problems with focusing in the last episode and glare and stuff, so I'm hoping that might help. What else? It is so hot here in the UK today and yesterday. It's absolutely awful. I know that most people really like hot weather and sunshine and summer. I am not one of those people. I am not a summer person. I am a winter person. I got married in the winter. Everything about the winter to me is preferable to the summer. I can see that the summer has its benefits, but to me they are very limited benefits. So yeah, I'm pretty miserable today. I've got no makeup on. Apologies for that, sorry. Because it will just melt on my face, honestly. I've just got back from doing the school run, not the school run, the weekly, well I did do the school run, but then the weekly shop. Couldn't get everything into the fridge, so I decided to drink the last of the milk that was already existing. So I haven't even got a cup of tea, it's too hot. But the milk is very refreshing and it's nice on my throat. And it meant that I could fit the new milk into the fridge. I've still got a cough and a cold. For anyone who's been watching for a while, I have had this for about 3 months now. And it's not funny anymore. I've been for blood tests, I've had a chest x-ray, and I'm perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. The advice is basically man up and just get over it. So I've been eating really healthily as well, so maybe I should just eat chocolate or something instead, because it doesn't seem to be working. Right, so enough rambling. I've got some notes here just in case I go off on a tangent, which are obviously not working because I already have. So we move on to finished objects. Okay, so this is going to be really tricky because I'm going to have to model the finished objects for you. And the last thing I want to do is put something woolly on me, so I might have to improvise a little bit. But my first finished object is the wonderful Hotel Hygge shawl, which is going to be impossible to show you all in one piece. So I will probably try and insert a picture now. so that you can see it, so you can see it in its entirety. But you start at this long end. Oh, the pattern is by Christina Hadderink, and it is called the Hotel Bee Shawl. It's a crochet shawl. It's an amazing pattern. I've never made anything like it in crochet. It's really detailed, really clever. I don't know how she has managed to design this. Honestly, it was really, really clever. And I did it as part of the Hotel of Bees crochet along, which was hosted by Sandra of Cherry Heart and Sam of Betsy Makes, who both have podcasts here on YouTube. And I was totally enabled to do this by a lovely podcast viewer who very kindly gifted me this pattern for my birthday. So thank you very much. You know who you are. Yes, so the pattern calls for you to start with a long chain, which you then do a row of single crochets into. I decided to do a row of foundation single crochets instead, which worked just fine and saved me having to faff about with working into the foundation chain. It starts off with this section where you have like a wing pattern, and then an open honeycomb, and then you have these little bees, little bee shapes, and then it goes into the big honeycomb section, and then it kind of repeats as it goes along. Sorry. And yeah, the pattern itself is for 2 colours. Sorry, the pattern is for 3 colours, but I did it in 2 colours because I used the crabapple tree in my garden as inspiration when it was in blossom. It's not in blossom anymore, it's about to burst into fruit at the moment. But the bees were going absolutely bananas for the blossom, and that's what made me think it would make good inspiration for this bee flavoured shawl. The yarn was a present from a lovely online friend, and it is called Peppermint Candy, and it is by, oops, I just pulled that out of shape. It is by Kate Celine, and the grey is Drops Flora, which I haven't used before, and it's really, really nice. And actually I'm going to get some more because I have another project in mind, which I will talk about a bit later. So the 2 colours together, yeah, the silvery grey represented the bark of the crabapple tree, and the blossom is represented by this beautiful hand-dyed yarn by Kate Celine. Yeah, and I'm really, really pleased with it. I just can't bring myself to model it because it is so hot, and I think I would just probably melt into a puddle if I put anything woolly around my neck. So you'll just have to imagine it, or I'll wear it in a future, you know, colder season podcast. But yeah, that was a fantastic cow. Really glad I joined in. Thank you to Sam and Sandra for hosting that. It's really, really nice to go into the finished objects group and have a really good nose at all the finished, beautiful finished shawls, and see like how everyone has chosen their. It's fascinating how everybody chooses different colours and has their own take on it. And yeah, I just really, really interesting to take part in, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it was actually quite a quick. I'm really faffing about trying to fold it up. I think I'm just going to give up. It's really hard to fold because of the shape of it. Yeah, it was a really fun make, and the really good thing about it, I think I said last time, is it starts on the really long edge, and then it gets narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower, so it gets quicker as you go. Sorry if I keep looking behind the camera. I was just checking. So that's my first finished object, and it's all been blocked and it smells delicious. So that's going to go neatly away somewhere until the weather turns more civilized. So I have another finish. I've got 2 more finished objects. So my next finished object was a test knit for Hannah of the rose hip. I always get this wrong. Rose hip knits or rose hip chick. Can't remember. I'll put it on the screen. Podcast. She's got a podcast. And she's designed her first ever pattern, and the pattern that she's designed was for a pair of mittens. So, as I am doing the Basket of Mittens year-long cow, which is being hosted on the Woolen Homestead Ravelry group, I thought it'd be perfect. I am going to put these on. I'm going to suffer for you because you need to see them on, and I want to see if you can spot my mistake. So I knitted the adult small medium size, and the yarn is by Stranded Directs. So this is Stranded Dye Works on her Castaway base, which is her DK base, and it's paint box number 4, which is a kind of one-off colourway, a sort of happy accident in the dye pot as I understand it, and it's 100% superwash DK, and I've actually got enough left to make another child's size pair of mittens. So these are adult ones. I'm already sweating. Oh, I'm going to show you really quickly, and the pattern runs from the cuff, and this is like a broken rib, and then it goes into this lovely sort of textured pattern, which for this yarn, I didn't know when I bought this yarn what I was going to use it for. I just really liked it. I think it was the first skein of hand-dyed yarn I ever bought. And it just is perfect for these mittens. Absolutely perfect. I'm so delighted. The pattern itself actually called, I can't take them off. Oh, melting. The pattern itself called for a certain number of textured repeats. For the adult size small medium. I actually did the test knit to test the pattern for her. Then I frogged back and actually reduced it by 1 repeat because I've got ridiculously small hands. It's a family thing. I've just got really small hands. And yeah, and now they fit absolutely perfectly, and I love these, absolutely love them. But my mistake is, if you can see here, they've got this lovely broken rib cuff, which I've never done before and I really enjoyed. But on this one, I completely forgot to do the broken bit, so it's just a rib. But I only noticed once I'd completely finished both of them. I don't think anyone's going to notice that. So I'm quite happy. And these have been living in my little Matryoshka doll bag, which my husband got me for my birthday. So I can now add that. Now I've shown you, I can add those to my basket. So that's very exciting. And my next finished object is also mittens. However, they are not in the best state because I finished them, because despite it being hotter than an inferno, I can't even get these on my hands because my hands are too sticky. Try again. Despite it being absolutely boiling hot this week, the last couple of weeks have been really quite cold. So they were stolen, these mitts, by my eldest daughter to wear to school in the mornings when it was quite chilly. So I'm only going to put one on because, again, I'm just really tired. These are the ice chip mitts, which I altered slightly. And the reason I made them in black is because it was from a project that I frogged that was going to be mitts, but they just weren't working. And I wanted to continue, I wanted to use the yarn for mitts because, I don't know, I just had it in my head that those were the mitts I was making for, I think it was February, and I just couldn't get them right, and I wasn't enjoying the pattern, and I frogged them right back, and I wanted to use the same yarn and still have them as fingerless mitts, which is why they're black. But I wouldn't normally choose black because it's really annoying to work with. So to brighten them up, I put a little, I made up a little crochet butterfly. These are crochet mitts, by the way. I made a little crochet butterfly using some Little French Meadow, Meadow mini, and then I just did a little kind of buzzy line to demonstrate it as being flying. Yeah, but my eldest daughter stole these all last week. She was absolutely delighted with them, which is quite good because they're actually a tiny bit small for me, so they can be hers. So that is my final finished object. Yeah, so works in progress. So I've got a few works in progress, but I'm not going to show you them all, obviously, because it's going to get a bit silly and long. So I'll just show you the most interesting ones. So my first work in progress is my travelling cable mitts, which is a knitted pattern by Pearl Soho. And I'm using some yarn that was gifted to me by Lily of the Nordic Stitches podcast. And I'll see if I've got, I don't know if I've got a picture in here. Yes, I have. This is what they look like. They're absolutely lovely. Really, really nice mitts. I really wanted to make them just all in one colour. And the colour, this is the yarn I'm using. It's Ida Strump Garn in... oh, I don't know, colour 358, if Farge means colour. I don't know, that's the colour. Ooh. And that is the yarn. This is quite a dark colour, and I was doing really well. And then I realised that the stitch count was slightly out, and I had to frog back about 1 billion rows. And then I was doing really well, and then the same thing happened, and the same thing happened about 4 times. So then I ripped right back to my lifeline, which fortunately I put in, and then I put them in the bag, and now they're in timeout because I got completely fed up with them. And then it started getting hot, and I just couldn't be ripping back cables and fiddling about with them, and I just got annoyed. So my travelling cable mitts are not necessarily a work in progress, they're a project in timeout. The next work in progress I've got was not a work in progress last time I spoke to you. I would just like to point out that I am not in any way a political person. I don't have strong political views, but I am making, I don't know, you can't tell yet, but this, he hasn't got eyes or hair or his outfit yet. He has to have his comb over put in. But this is leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn. And he's going to be a Christmas tree topper. I'll show you the picture of what it will look like when it's finished. This is a pattern I bought from Snorker's Imaginarium. You can't get it on Ravelry, you have to go to the website, snorkersimaginarium.com, and buy it via there. And it's a Jeremy Corbyn alternative Christmas tree topper. And that's what he's going to look like. I'll explain why I'm making this in a minute. And what it says is, oh, I don't know if it's got the description in here. It was really funny, the description. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's not on the thing where it said about the benefits of having your alternative Jeremy Corbyn tree topper. The reason I'm making it is I'm going to a 50th birthday party in a couple of weeks, and the lady whose 50th birthday is a massive Labour. She's a member of the Labour Party. She's a huge Jeremy Corbyn fan, and she was the one that had mentioned that she'd seen this Jeremy Corbyn tree topper, which I then went and Googled. Had to do a bit of research to find it. So I thought, well, that would be the ideal 50th birthday present for a Labour Party enthusiast. So yeah, I'm currently making Jeremy Corbyn, which I never thought I would say. Watch this space and we'll see how he looks next time. He should look a bit more alive. And my final work in progress, well, not really my final work in progress, but the one I'm going to show you today, because I've got about 1 million things on the go at the moment, and actually it's getting a little bit overwhelming. So I know that Jan of Jan's Crafty Crochet on Instagram mentioned to me that, and sorry I haven't replied yet, Jan, that Emma, no not Emma, can't remember, Crafternoon Treats, the Crafternoon Treats podcast, is hosting a FAL, a finish along. So you sort of gather, I assume, gather all your works in progress and get them finished. So maybe I need to do that. Problem is, I just want to make everything. It's really difficult to... Anyway, rambling. My next work in progress is the Hygge Shawl, which is a pattern by Lily of the Nordic Stitches, and we had a little giveaway for it a couple of months ago. And this is going quite well. So this is knit on the bias, and you've got rows of garter, alternating colours. You've got eyelet rows like that, and then you've got textured rows which look like that, which I really love. They're fun to knit, and it gets bigger and bigger, and then you have it goes up and up and up into a sort of centre textured section, and then starts to decrease again. I don't know if I've got a decent picture here. No, I'll put a picture up on the screen somewhere to show you. I think you've probably seen it on here before. And I am making this again with the Drops Flora, which I need to order some more of. And the orange is some yarn that I dyed myself In fact, it was the first yarn I dyed with my yarn dyeing kit that I got for my birthday from my mother-in-law. So it reminds me at the moment a little bit of a road sign. I don't know, grey and orange. Are they grey and orange signs? Sorry if I keep looking at the mirror again. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying this. I've done quite a lot of work on it over the past few days. It pinches a little bit in on the textured section, but I messaged Lily and said, oh, am I doing something wrong? And she said, no, it's because it's a slip. There's a lot of slip stitches at the end of the rows, so it'll block out. So, and I can see when I stretch it that it will. But I really like touching the textured section. Is really nice and tactile. It's really, I can imagine when I'm wearing it in the winter, I'll be like this all the time, just stroking the textured section. So yeah, really pleased with that. That's living in my tropical birds bag at the moment. And yeah, really hopping along with that. I'm hoping to get some more done on that tonight, although I'm finding that my hands are getting a bit hot and sweaty and it's all getting a bit annoying. And sorry, I'm a misery when it comes to summer, aren't I? I have also made some progress on my Cozy Memories blanket, which is my crocheted squares, which is a pattern by Lorraine Pugh Designs. But I'm not going to show that on this episode just because I'm going to run out of time and it will get too long. So I'll talk about that a bit more and hopefully next time, and hopefully I'll have a bit more on that to show you. I wanted to talk a little bit about some crafty plans. But before I do that, because it makes more sense, I've only got one incoming thing to share with you, I think. Yes, feels a bit weird because the last couple of episodes I've had tons to share with you because of my birthday and everything like that. I ordered some yarn to dye. I got some dyes for my birthday. They are all primary colours, so I've only got red, blue and yellow, which is a bit limiting. So I've done some fun sort of a couple of little skeins, which I like the orange. I've done some nice greens, but I want to get a bit more layering now, so I do need to order some more acid dyes. So if anyone's got advice on which ones are good, do let me know, because I would like to order some more colours to play about with. And with that in mind, I went onto eBay and went to Woolstock Turtle, I think the name is, where I ordered my knitting needles from actually. And I ordered 2 different types of plain undyed yarn, which, if you follow me on Instagram, arrived completely flat. Like they sucked the air out like kippers in the supermarket. And it was amazing. And then you opened it up and it just came out normal. So this one smells absolutely gorgeously sheepy. And I like to just smell it. And that is because it is, oh, it doesn't sound, made in Germany, 75% new wool. What's that? 25% nylon. This is not soft stuff. This feels sturdy. This feels like you're going to get some sturdy socks out of it. Is that focusing? I hope so. It's called trekking. So yeah, so I'm going to have fun dyeing that up once I've got a few more different coloured colours to dye with. And then I also got some West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply, which is 75% wool and 25% nylon. And I think 35% of that 75% wool is blue-faced Esther. So this also smells quite sheepy. So that's that one. So it's just 2 very plain natural yarns for dyeing, which were quite cheap to buy from Woolstock Turtle on eBay. So basically at the moment I'm just mucking about with different things and working out what kind of wool I like and what kind of way of dyeing I like. These ones I think I'm going to hand paint rather than do on the stove, but we'll see. We'll see what fun we have with that. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the process, even if it's quite messy. So, and I'm finding it really rewarding to use the yarn that I've dyed myself in projects. So my next plan, as I said last time, is to really just finish all the things that I'm working on. So at the moment I've got the works in progress I've shown you. I've also got some speckled space socks which I need to finish, which I started quite some time ago actually, about 2 months ago on holiday in Cornwall. And I've got my Cozy Memories blanket, which is kind of a longer term project, so I'm not too worried to have that on the go. I might take that with me. I'm going away next week. My eldest daughter is doing her year 6 residential trip, which is about 2 hours away, but it's very near where my dad lives, up in Berkshire, which is about an hour and a half from here. So I am taking her and her 2 friends and my youngest daughter up to my dad's, and I will then take all of the older ones to their camp from there, and then I will stay at my dad's for 3 days with my youngest daughter. So it's going to be, well, my husband's working, so he'll still be at home, so I'm going to have a lot of time where I don't have to do any housework and washing and things like that. I'll just be solely caring for my 6-year-old daughter and having some fun and having days out, and then in the evenings I'll be able to hopefully get a bit of work done on the things I've got in progress. So I'm hoping to get all of those things finished and done, and then once I am, I'm going to embark on one of my goals for this year. I said that I, in 2017, wanted to knit a garment. I have crocheted garments before, and they've come out really well, but I don't find them very wearable. I'm not talking about shawls, I'm talking about jumpers and things like that. There may be another garment out there for crochet that may work better. I need to investigate more, but I did want to, now that I have learned to knit, I would like to try and knit a garment. And I have been researching, trying to find the right thing that I want to make. And then on Instagram, I saw that there's a lady I follow called Tracy Chorley. She does a lot of knitting, and she had made the So Faded jumper or sweater, depending on which continent you're from, by Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits. I hope I'm saying that right. And I hadn't fancied doing anything faded. I've never really fancied doing the Find Your Fade shawl just because it's so massive. I would never wear it. Maybe one day in the future I might change my mind, but it's just not something that had appealed to me. And I think therefore I'd associated the So Faded jumper with that kind of thing. But then I saw a few on Instagram, and it's got a lovely sort of texture shoulder. I'll show you actually. This is it. You can see it's got a nice textured shoulder, and you can fade it however you like. So you can do it with one colour, well, that wouldn't make any sense. You could do it with one colour, but then it wouldn't be faded, would it? 2 colours, 3 colours, however many you want, and you can fade at whatever point you want, so it's quite flexible. It's a raglan jumper, and it's top down, and it looked quite a simple construction and a good beginner project for me. I'm not a big fan of the neck of it. I like to wear things that are quite wide on my neck. I don't like things too close. So I'll have a look at the pattern and see if there's anything I might be able to adjust to make that slightly wider. Otherwise I'll just knit it as is, because I will wear it in the winter, I know I will. And I've got some yarn in mind, and I need to just grab it because I've just realised I've left it over here on the shelf. Being really careful getting up and down because I have such, I can't take a picture to show you, but I have my camera on a little mini tripod which is balanced on top of a miniature suitcase, which is on top of a box which the kids keep all their felt tip pens in, and then behind it I have a 24 pack of toilet roll which I just bought in the weekly shop, with an old miner's lamp balanced on top of it and a mirror leaning against it. To say that this is not a professional setup would be an understatement, but I'm being very careful as I get up and down in case the whole lot just collapses. So my idea for this jumper is I am going to use the grey Drops Flora colour with this yarn, which is absolutely beautiful. I've had it for a while and I've not been able to work out what I'm going to use it for. I hope you can see that, I can't tell. And it is by Third Volt Yarns, and it is 100% superwash merino, and the colourway is called Mazikeen, which is after the character in the Lucifer series on Amazon Prime. That's the label. And that's the information on the back. Yeah, you can see it's this beautiful kind of bronzy purple mauve colours, which is going to look really nice with the grey. If I can try and hold them up together. I've no idea if that's coming out or not. So I'm just going to do it in 2 colours, and I think I'm going to have, I can't work out whether I'll have this one at the top and the grey at the bottom. That's the phone ringing. 1 second. Sorry about that. That was the sofa place calling to say our sofas are ready, because we've ordered new sofas. So, but I think I've finished talking about that, haven't I? Yes. So I've just got to work out which top or bottom, and grey top or bottom. But I'm not going to think about that yet, because I need to finish everything else. Right, so yeah, that's about it for crafty pans, other than the fact I just want to crochet and knit everything in the whole wide world, but we don't have the time. So right, on to some sharing the love. I haven't done this in a while, which has been a shame, but I keep running out of time. But I wanted to do sharing the love this week, and this is where I choose 3 Instagrammers or podcasters, bloggers, makers, dyers, anyone like that, anyone yarny, knitty, crochet related, and talk about talk about who they are and why I like them very briefly, so that people who watch this podcast might discover other things. So in the past I've done quite a few different ones, and I do need to go back and actually write down everyone that I've mentioned before, because I realise I don't have a definitive list. I might end up mentioning people twice, which is no bad thing, but it'd be nice to be a bit more organised. But this time I thought I would do 3 podcasters who you've probably heard of already. So basically it's going to be podcasters that are pretty well known, have been doing it for a while, and you probably already watch their podcasts. But that doesn't mean we can't share the love for them. Just because you might already know them, you might not. So I thought I would mention the kind of top 3, you know, the ones that have got a massive amount of followers already that I really enjoy. So the first of those who I may have already mentioned in a previous podcast is Amy of the Stranded Dye Works podcast, and she is the girl behind that yarn that I was using in my mittens that I showed you. She is a girl in her 20s. She has her own yarn dyeing business, which is going from strength to strength, and she has a very, very energetic and funny podcast. It is called Stranded Dye Works. Well, her yarn company is called Stranded Dye Works, and I think she is Amy Edwards here on YouTube, and her podcast is called the Stranded. So she's really worth looking up. It's a really enjoyable podcast. I'm always really happy to see that pop up in my subscriptions feed, because I know that I'm going to get some really, really nice knitting content and lots of lovely yarny, colourful goodness from her, and it's always really quite funny as well. The next one I wanted to mention was, of course, Katie of Inside Number 23. I do keep coming back to Katie. She does a weekly podcast. She doesn't sell anything, which is really quite nice. You know, sometimes that's really nice to watch podcasts where it's just about the knitting and the yarn and the crochet. Well, she doesn't crochet. She's more knitting. As is Amy, actually. They're all of these podcasts I'm talking about are all knitting ones today. Yeah, so she's very energetic. She's got a very nice style about her. Again, she's a young girl and based in England. They both are. and it's really worth a watch. I'm sure you probably already do watch her podcast, but if you don't, head on over to the Inside Number 23 podcast and you will not be disappointed. And the third one I wanted to mention was the first podcast, the first sort of crafty knitting crochet podcast I ever watched. There were two actually that I watched, so let's mention both of them. We'll do four. So the one I was going to initially mention was Mina of the Knitting Expat. She was the first podcast that I discovered on YouTube. She's prolific with her knitting. She was the one that made me realise that actually it's okay to work on more than one thing at the same time. But that said, she is a really quick knitter. She just had a little baby, so I think that might have slowed her down slightly, but not much. So yeah, she's really good to watch. She lives in New York now, but when I first started watching her, she lived in Bahrain, which was really interesting. And she's originally from Britain, and she's very, very knowledgeable. And she writes patterns, and yeah, I find I learn a lot from watching her podcast. So do go ahead and check out the Knitting Expat. And the third one, which was also one of the first podcasts I watched, getting everything mixed up here. There's too many numbers in this section. So the fourth one I want to mention, which is also one of the first podcasts I ever watched, is a crochet podcast, and that is Sandra of Cherry Heart, and her podcast on YouTube is Cherry Heart, and yeah, she was one of the first ones I watched as well, and she's predominantly a crochet podcast, and she has a very nice way with colours and putting colours together. I think she's recently moved, so she's in her own kind of crafting studio, which is always lovely lit and has got lots of interesting things in the background, and she makes wonderful socks and crochet things, and she designs as well. She designs crochet patterns, and she's got some lovely things. I actually made one of her well, I think I made a couple of her things, but my favourite one was her Victoria shawl, which I made for my eldest daughter. That was a lovely pattern, and she's got a lovely way about her. She's also based in England, if I didn't say before. Yeah, so all four of them are British, but one of them based in New York. So yeah, check them out. Stranded Podcast, Inside Number 23, Knitting Expat, and Cherry Heart. All worth a watch if you're not watching them already, which I am sure you probably are. I think that draws it to a close for today. I've got plenty more that I could talk about, but I will not bore you any further. Instead, I am going to put in some little footage now of our trip on Monday to Whitstable in Kent, which is a seaside town about 40 minutes from where I live. My husband had the day off. It was a sunny day, and he said, why don't we just go to the beach? So while the kids were at school, we drove down to Whitstable and had a really nice walk along the beach, and then we bought prawns and crawfish tails and ate them at the harbour, and then we drove home and picked the kids up, and it was really nice. But I took some video while I was there to share with you, so I hope you enjoy that. I hopefully won't be too long until I podcast again. I'm going to try and maybe do a little podcast when I'm up at my dad's next week, if I can get any time away from everyone. So yeah, until then, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for watching, and happy crocheting, happy knitting. See you next time. Bye.